Final round of the URC is in the bag, folks. The playoff spots have been decided. Let's have a look through the final week's games. How did things come out, and how the heck did the Ospreys manage to get themselves a playoff spot? What a good news story for Welsh rugby. They could use a bit of a boost after what's been kind of a tough 12 months. The round starts with Leinster playing Connacht. I believe Connacht's playoff hopes were still alive going into that final game, but going to the RDS and playing Leinster, albeit an all kind of changed Leinster lineup, was still always going to be tough. 33-7. Yeah, they fell pretty far short. They didn't score until the 65th minute, but it was a nice try. But some top performances from the Leinster boys. Prendergast at 10 certainly looks the business. I feel like there's a lot of optimism around that guy and his future at the club. And then Jack Conan getting a start and showing some of his power. So yeah, some nice tries from Leinster. But they only finished third on the log, which I feel like if you had said that at the start of the season, would have been viewed as a kind of disappointing final spot on the ladder. Glasgow against Zebre, 38-26. Maybe a little bit of a scare from Zebre for the Glasgow boys, for a side finishing in the top four against a side which has had one win all season. You would have thought Glasgow at home would have put them a bit more to the sword, but not really. Their maul still looks bloody good. I feel like if you can stop Glasgow's maul, you're kind of halfway there in terms of getting a good result against them. Zebre have always got at least one kind of cracking try in them, and that was no different this game. Some pretty good hands, but ultimately 16th spot for Zebre and into the playoffs for Glasgow. At least Zebre's season's been better this year than last year. Stormers Lions was one I watched with interest. I made sure to sit down and watch that this morning, much after the fact, but not knowing the result. With my young lad, he sat down and watched it with me. He was cheering for the Stormers because the Stormers have been surpassed by my Blues as his favourite side, but he still has a very strong affinity with the Stormers. And I was cheering for the Lions because they play some bloody entertaining rugby, and I was hoping they would make the top 8. But yeah, not to be. My boy was booing and cheering the Lions and the Stormers all the way to the finish line, 29-24. Evan Roos was kind of having a barnstorming game, wasn't he? Interesting to see the Lions kind of opting for threes, really looking to try and secure the win, but the way the Stormers kept on scoring tries, the Lions kind of had to do the same at some points. But yeah, Angelo Davids getting that red card with the hit on the Humber was certainly a talking point as well. Yeah, came in real full bore and really clocked into him, which was a pretty ugly one, but he ends up getting carded for it. So that makes sense. The Lions get a yellow card as well for being that kind of next man in. But yeah, they had McWane go off early as well with a kind of poor tackle attempt. But 29-24, losing bonus point for the Lions. We weren't sure if it was going to be enough. It ended up not being enough, but we weren't kind of sure at the time. Benetton against Edinburgh. Edinburgh has got to be really disappointed. They saved one of their worst performances for last. I think they went into this playoffs round in 7th and managed to drop all the way down to 10th with this result. 31-6, no tries, just a couple of penalties. I don't know. They could have used a losing bonus point. They could have used a 4-try bonus point, but didn't look like getting either. Albanoz got one, Ratave got one, Isikor got a couple. They really punished Edinburgh's mistakes and just looked a better side. So Benetton are still going to be away in the playoffs, but they've been another one of those kind of good news stories in the URC this year. And Edinburgh, I'll need to go back and look at their record to see how many of their results have come against kind of the bottom ranked teams. But yeah, this is a game where they needed to step up and absolutely didn't do it. So no playoffs for them, which is disappointing. Scarlets against the Dragons from Cardiff, 32-15. The Scarlets have made the most of their kind of last few rounds where they've had some kind of easier teams, if you want to put it that way. 32-15. Winners, that guy Tommy Lewis seems a good prospect. He's got some proper wheels on him. That boy on the right wing gets a couple of tries. A couple of late tries for Theo Tompkinson. Former Highlanders man. For the Dragons, at least gives them a bit more respectability, but it's another kind of near bottom of the table finish for the Dragons boys, and at least the Scarlets managed to get themselves a couple more spots up the log with that win. Sharks Bulls was also an interesting one because the Sharks managed to get themselves some silverware this season, albeit the silverware that nobody probably really wants to be playing for, the Challenge Cup, but still some silverware nonetheless. And then the Bulls looking to get as high up the URC log as they could. Go into Durban, they get a 26-14 win. It's still not going to be a Bulls game this year without conceding at least one soft try, and they gave one to Masuku pretty early. But, yeah, man, the Bulls still play some bloody nice rugby as well. I mean, Hussein dinking it over from his own goal area for Moody to chase and then break up field was pretty crazy stuff. Acha van der Merwe gives a couple of tries. Bonus point win for the Bulls. So, yeah, 26-14. Forgettable season for the Sharks. But as I said, at least they get some silverware to cheer about. They finish in 14th. The Bulls are well into the playoffs. Munster, Ulster, one of the kind of all-Irish affairs this weekend. The other all-Irish affair. 29-24 is a proper battle. Some close-range tries from both sides early on, but then the Munster outside backs managed to get some width into the game as well and actually take the game away from Ulster after being behind at half-time. And then a penalty at the death from Crowley, kind of one of those pressure kicks, at least took it beyond the 3 points. So Ulster losing bonus point, and Munster have absolutely timed their run to the finals perfectly. Did they look unbeatable against Ulster? Surely not, but are they on a heck of a good run in the URC? Yes, they are. That's a helicopter. Last game is the one that mattered in terms of these playoffs because other results have gone the Ospreys' way. Edinburgh didn't win. The Lions didn't win. Connacht didn't win. Ospreys, can they get a bonus point win? Yes, they can. 33 points to 29 over Cardiff. Nicky Smith, of all people, getting a couple of tries. What a legend. I mean, I saw some picture on social media which said Ospreys were given a 2% chance of making the 8. And they have somehow managed to do it. Mason Grady grabs a couple of tries for Cardiff. Seb Davis's red card certainly didn't help them. But yes, as much as I would have loved to see the Lions make the 8, it's great to see Welsh representation in there because that means we've got a Welsh side, Italian side, Scottish side, some Irish sides, some South African sides. So, did I miss anybody? It is a proper mix of the sides. This URC campaign. It's not just kind of all 4 Irish sides and no Welsh sides, you know what I mean? So, yes, very, very pleasing from that regard. So, the log finishes the bottom 4, Zebre, Dragons, the Sharks, and Scarlets. I don't think anybody would have called the Sharks being in the bottom 4 at the start of the season. Zebre and the Dragons, it's kind of familiar territory for them. Cardiff, Connacht, Edinburgh, and the Lions from 12th through 9th. The Lions were really, really close, and Edinburgh will also be really disappointed with the squad they've got not to make it. Connacht, I still feel like are a little bit hamstrung by the structure of the competition, meaning they have to play Munster, Leinster, and Ulster more than everybody else does when those guys regularly make the knockouts. I feel like they've got a tougher draw potentially than everybody else, but maybe they're in a similar position to the Lions usually, but with the Sharks underperforming this year, maybe not so much. It really feels like the short end of the stick for Connacht. The away sides in the knockout stages will be the Stormers, who finished 5th, Ulster, who finished 6th, Benetton, who finished 7th, and Cardiff? Ospreys, why did I write Cardiff? The Ospreys, who finished 8th. So, yeah, the Stormers, I feel like, will be, given their record in the URC the last couple of years, maybe disappointed that they only managed to finish 5th. Ulster's had a tumultuous season, so playoff rugby is always going to be welcome. Benetton's certainly a big turnaround from last year, and as I said, the Ospreys, it's a miracle they're here, so congratulations to them. They've got a tough job ahead of them going to Munster, but at least they are there. The home sides, Glasgow will be hosting the Stormers on Saturday. Leinster hosting Ulster in an all-Irish affair also on the Saturday. And then the other Saturday game is going to be the Bulls against Benetton. That's the first one. So Benetton having to make the trek down to South Africa will be kind of firm underdogs for that one. And then Munster hosting the Ospreys on the Friday. That's the first of the knockout games. So, yeah, as I said, uphill battle for the Ospreys boys, but at least they've made it. So, yeah, we'll see how things go. If you want to watch the URC knockout stages and you're in the States, Flow Rugby is the place to be. I'll put a link down in the description to Flow. They've also got Super Rugby if you want to check out some of that. Super Rugby's also been an interesting competition with the Crusaders season being rather tumultuous too. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. How do you reckon the quarterfinals are going to go? Can you see any of the away sides getting upset wins, or do you think it's going to be pretty smooth sailing? And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.